Talon here. Today I'm back with another series of high-level rank battles featuring top teams in the Regulation F metagame. Today I have a team that was able to reach the top 8 of the most recent regional at the Charlotte regional. So that was the largest regional championship of all time, ultimately won by Wolf Glick, but my friend Toler here was actually able to get top 8 with this really cool Iron Crown team. There was a couple other players in the field with similar or identical teams, but Toler was the one to rise above them all and get top 8 with the team. Really incredible performance from him. He's a longtime player, been playing since at least 2011 that I know of, won the World Championships in the Senior Division in 2012 and then the National Championships in the Masters in 2015, as well as having a regional championship to his name, I believe, in the Masters Division as well. But overall, yeah, really great performance for him, and I'm really excited because I feel like Iron Crown is a Pokemon that a lot of people really enjoy playing. It's a very cool user of the Expanding Force move and has been kind of underplayed, but it was able to pop off in a recent Grassroots online tournament and then carry that success over to the IRL tournaments with Toler's top 8 finish. If you appreciate my coverage of the team breakdowns, and the battles, please subscribe to the channel, as well as leave a like on the video and a comment asking for any additional teams that you have interest in me playing. And yeah, with all that being said, let's get into a breakdown of this team. So at a very high level, this team does look very, very offensive. The Hearhflame Orgerpon, the more offensive of the, I guess, the quartet of the potential Orgerpon forms you could be running. Iron Crown with the Expanding Force traditionally run very offensive. Choice Scarf Urshifu, Tornadus, Tailwind, Choice Specs, Flutter Mane, all very offensive Pokemons. But if you actually check out the EV spreads, which I have linked in the description below, the Pokepaste for the Pokemon Showdown export, including all the EV spreads, all these Pokemon are very, very bulkily trained. Like the Iron Crown is max HP, very little speed investment. The Flutter Mane, a lot of bulk investment as well. The Orgerpon, surprisingly, a ton of defense EVs as well as HP EVs, and then the Tornadus, of course, being near max HP along with some additional bulk EVs. And the Urshifu is really the only 252 offensive spread, which isn't too surprising for a set like that, but it just does go to show that despite being a, you don't know everything in Open Team Sheet, there is still the EV spreads that can edge you out against your opponents, and I would expect the bulk definitely allowed Toler to win, to eke out a couple sets that he wouldn't have been able to with the speed investment that most players would traditionally go for. So definitely hats off to him and his team building group for figuring out these very bulky EV spreads. But overall, it looks super hyper offensive, but I think it requires a lot of careful play to be successful with, just because your damage can be centralized in a couple of Pokemon. Like if you have Tornadus and Indeedee to go enable the Tailwind mode along with the Iron Crown, that is 2 Pokemon that don't offer a lot of damage. So you do have to be very careful about balancing the offense of the Pokemon you do have and like protecting them very well, because when you're swinging, you're susceptible to damage. So you need your either to be taking KOs or redirecting effectively away from them. Going into the specifics of the team, the Iron Crown and the Indeedee are really what the team was originally built around. I know Justin Karras and Toler were up until pretty close to the tournament running Choice Specs, but they did switch over to a Quark Drive Terra Blast, Terra Water set to be able to handle things like Incineroar. Switching in, being able to hit that with a Terra Blast is really appreciated, as well as just having the option to switch moves. Obviously, you can lock in Expanding Force and take big KOs, but it did feel like maybe that damage was a little bit overkill, when it would be a bit better to be able to switch moves when you're in a disadvantaged situation against something like a Dark type, which we did see Single Strike Urshifu become very popular this tournament, so that did look like it was a pretty strong choice. The Indeedee, to counter those Dark types, is a Terra Fairy set with Rocky Helmet, basically drawing away a, for example, Focus Sash Wicked Blow from a Urshifu Single Strike, and then being able to knock it out with a Tachyon Cutter or Dazzling Gleam through the Focus Sash they usually have after the Rocky Helmet chip. That's super important. You can just go for Terra Fairy Follow Me to survive the hit, or expand the damage of your Dazzling Gleams as well. Outside of that, it is a pretty standard Indeedee. You have Follow Me, Helping Hand to enable, basically you can boost up your Flutter Mane and your Orgerpon to outrageous damage. And if your Iron Crown is free on the field to just go for Expanding Force without protection, you can just go Helping Hand, Expanding Force, and do a ton of damage there. Trick Room's interesting. You do see not a lot of slow Pokemon in this team, but because of the most of the EVs going into the bulk and power on the Orgerpon, Iron Crown, and Flutter Mane, if you're playing into a mirror, you're really able to go for the Trick Room mode a bit more comfortably, being a bit confident that you will outspeed your opposing Pokemon in Trick Room, unless they actually just have outbulked you, which I don't think was super common at this point in the metagame. Aside from that Expanding Force mode, we do have the Tornadus Tailwind mode, which functions very well with the Urshifu, basically the Choice Scarf Urshifu with the Rapid Strike, Surging Strikes, along with Rain Dance on Tornadus. It is a Covert Cloak Torn to really guarantee you're going to get Tailwind up unless you play a faster Taunt Tornadus. This one is pretty fast, but definitely not going to be being able to compete with a max speed taunt Tornadus, so you do have to be wary of that. Outside of that, pretty standard outside the Icy Wind, which I think is really to edge out against opposing Pokemon and match Tailwind against opponents and then get an Icy Wind off so that you can clean up with Orgerpon, Iron Crown, or Flutter Mane against things that would otherwise be kind of dicey, those speed interactions, which I do like there. Urshifu is a Terra Water set, pretty simple. The one thing of note here is that the Ice Spinner, you might see Aqua Jet a lot of the times on these Urshifu, but instead we have an Ice Spinner just because a lot of the time you're going to have Psychic Terrain up, so Aqua Jet won't be so effective, so having the option to go for Ice Spinner, although you are clearing away your own Psychic Terrain, more often than not you're using it to hit Rillaboom and basically catch it maybe on a switch in on a read so that you can go for the Ice Spinner on the switch. They think they'll just be able to clean you up with Grassy Glide, but after going for that Ice Spinner, they are susceptible to a knockout with the second Ice Spinner while also having the Grassy Terrain erased and not able to just like snipe you with the Grassy Glide, which I do like a lot. Flutter Mane here is a very bulky Choice Specs Terra Fairy set. Pretty standard. The three main moves you'll always use are the Dazzling Gleam, Moonblast, and Shadow Ball, but instead of the Parasong, Icy Wind, Thunderbolt, we usually see those in the last move slot here. We actually have Protect, so I think that's mainly to be able to stall out things like Trick Room against opposing Pokemon, or make them think twice into doubling into Flutter Mane. Although it's very unlikely you'll hit Protect, there is the chance you can just hit Protect, switch in and out. So I know Toler and Justin were really stressing about the Bloodmoon Ursaluna Farigiraf matchup, and maybe this was one option they came up with to try and stilt that a little bit more in their favor. All the other 5 Pokemon were on early versions of the team, and the Orgerpon was kind of the last one to fall into place. It does just offer a lot of additional power and redirection for the Iron Crown, which I do like. Sometimes you won't be able to just have the Indeedee Iron Crown mode going, or you need an additional Follow Me Pokemon, and Orgerpon is able to both provide that Follow Me for the mode if you want to go for it, or be a bit more offensive and go the Torn, Urshifu, Orgerpon, Flutter Mane route, and just go all out Tailwind Hyper Offense, which I think is a good mix-up to have in a best of 3 open team sheet setting. Once again, congratulations to Toler and the rest of his team building group on a job very well done and a great top 8 finish for Toler himself. So with all that being said, if you enjoy the videos, please subscribe to the channel and we'll get into the battles now. Okay, opponent here has a kind of defensive Trick Room team. It's kind of interesting. So they have the Incineroar, Rillaboom, Urshifu, Flutter Mane, Tornadus, and the Raging Bolt. So very bulky core of Pokemon. Could be a water type Urshifu or could be the dark type one, hard to say. Can't tell in the closed team sheet battle stadium, unfortunately. What I kind of like here is I almost have to trade toward, like, play Torn on lead, it feels like. I could see the... I could see Iron Crown being effective against everything on lead except for the Incineroar, so I kind of need to lead against the Incineroar aggressively, it feels like. So I think I'm going to lead with the Urshifu Iron Crown and then go with the Indeedee in the back. And then I think Orgerpon handles the... Flutter Mane's tempting too. Should I just go Flutter Mane, handle the Iron or the Raging Bolt? That might be the best course of action. Yeah, maybe I should do that, but I think for this battle I'm going to test out the Orgerpon. I'm going to see if I can get it done on the Iron Crown mode instead of the Flutter Mane. I do feel like Flutter Mane may be a bit more consistent, but if I can deal with the Incineroar quickly, then I can really just close out with the remaining Pokemon. So Torn, Flutter Mane, I do feel like we're in a pretty good spot. I can just Terra or Protect. Like I can Tachyon Cutter pretty nicely. They're probably going to go for a... God, they're not locking Shadow Ball, are they? They might, but I doubt it. I think they're going to go for a Dazzling Gleam. Potentially, or a Switch. That wouldn't surprise me either. I'm going to get a Tachyon Cutter just in case, though. I'm going to Tachyon Cutter... Could I Terra Water here? That'd be interesting. Making an aggressive play here. I think the Flutter Mane was switching out into the Incineroar or the Rillaboom. So, I mean, I didn't think it was switching out into the Rillaboom, but I thought the Flutter Mane was like in a weird spot where it's can't really take a knockout if I Terra either, so it's maybe going to be scared out to switch. So what I do is I U-turn out, Terra Water to cover for them going for example, Tailwind, Dazzling Gleam. But I'm going to do a ton of damage to this Rillaboom, and I'm getting in the Indeedee, I think, this turn. Tachyon Cutter U-turn might just straight up knock out this Rillaboom, but probably not unless it's Assault. If it's not Assault Vest, but on a team like this, I would expect it to be. But this is a free Indeedee switch in. I'm not going to switch into a Bleak Wind, no siree. And potentially I get Trick Room up here. So I did lose my Terra for no reason, based on what they did, but based on what they could have done, I am happy going for that. They go for a Bleak Wind, it's going to miss the Indeedee, which is definitely a better target for it to miss for me. We're going to get the Tachyon Cutter off. It's going to be close, but I think going to miss the knockout, unfortunately. Oh, we do get it. So that's really important. We're going to get Psychic Terrain to stay on the field. That's very, very valuable. So yeah, perfect U-turn. That's why you lead in such a way. They led, if they had led the Urshifu or the Incineroar, they would have been kind of a weird spot where I can just like switch in Indeedee on Fake Out, Surging Strikes them, and they're kind of like hosed off that. But they don't go for that. They need Snarl most likely to get in a good spot. I think Tachyon Cutter covers my bases fine. I'm just going to go Follow Me Tachyon Cutter, or should I Psychic? Which is stronger? Expanding Force is like 120 times 0.75 because it is spread, and then times a 1.3. So it's a little bit stronger, but it doesn't catch Flutter Mane on switch in, unfortunately. I could see this going bad. I think I'm just going to go Expanding Force. Helping Hand, though. I think this is a knockout. Now they have to Tailwind Flare Blitz me, which is fine because then I get into my Urshifu. Yep, they did go for the Tailwind. I don't think Flare Blitz is a knockout. I am pretty bulky, but I could have just gone for Follow Me. Yeah, they go Knockoff, which is... Yeah, they definitely would have knocked me out. I'm tripping. But I think... Yeah, they went for Knockoff, trying to get ready for the redirection from the Indeedee, but because I don't do that, they are looking to be in some dire trouble here. They get Tailwind up, which is for sure a problem on some level, but I think they'd have to be pretty quick to outspeed on the Urshifu side. Like, they'd have to be pretty quick to outspeed for the Flutter Mane, and I think I can just go for a... Gosh, I could... I think I'm going to go Tachyon Cutter here, knock out the Flutter Mane, and then actually Trick Room feels correct to me. Because I can underspeed the Flutter Mane if I survive the hit and then go for an Ivy Cudgel. But I think what has to happen is they have to... Like, I think Dazzling Gleam is their more likely play to close the game out, but I think what they actually need to do is Moonblast the Indeedee, have that knock out, and then knock off the Iron Crown. They go for Dazzling Gleam. I think we're going to live that hit. Yeah, we do pretty comfortably. And now I don't think they have a win. Yeah, because Tachyon Cutter is going to knock them out. They took a bit of Rocky Helmet chip. And although we don't get Trick Room to sweep them with our Choice Scarf Incineroar in their own, or Choice Scarf Urshifu in their Tailwind, do it in the swaggier way, I think Tachyon Cutter still gets there on the Flutter Mane very easily. Iron Crown is a monster. And now we have the outspeeding Urshifu in the... Urshifu in the back. So I think this is a good example of how this team, like, on paper, we should be very weak to Incineroar and Rillaboom with this sort of strategy. But if you're playing the other pieces of the team well in a way that just, like, honestly, your opponent is on the back foot seeing this strategy. So what you can actually do is just, like, predict their most likely counterplay and then cover for it with the remaining Pokemon in the team, and that's what we did here. I think that battle was a good example of how you can kind of take advantage of your opponent's expectations of what you're going to do with the Iron Crown, and also just like in a best of one situation, if you lead something so threatening as Iron Crown plus Urshifu, they have to cover one of them tearing defensively, and that's what they did there. They were like, okay, any one of these could tear and just like mess me up big time and take a KO. So they switched out into the Rillaboom, tried to maybe preempt a basically an Indeedee switching in to try and deal with that. But they also didn't want to switch in Incineroar and get Surging Strikes on the Flutter Mane as I Terra Water. So I kind of split the difference and go Terra Water and U-turn. get out into position and end up taking a KO on the Rillaboom as it comes in. But overall, pretty happy with how that battle played out. Okay, up against Johan, featuring Indeedee, Armarouge, Ursaluna, Torkoal, Hatterene, and the Lilligant. Very scary Pokemon. I think Rain Dance is pretty strong against them, potentially in the late game, actually. Wide Guard for sure is an issue against me. I kind of just want to lead. It's an argument to be made for Torn. Interesting. I honestly like Torn plus Iron Crown here to set up Rain Dance on them. Seems pretty strong to me. Could go Torn Ursh as well. I think I will go that direction with Iron Crown and the Orgerpon in the back. I could use Protect Flutter Mane, but I'm not sure if it's necessary. Don't think it makes sense here. So yeah, I do foresee the ability to go for Rain Dance to be very critical against the Lilligant, for example, and the Torkoal, but if they can knock out my Tornadus before Torkoal hits the field, that is going to be an issue. But I have Iron Crown as a defensive switch in, and I am pressuring them a lot with the Urshifu Torn lead on the defensive side. Lilligant Torkoal is what it is. Fair enough. But like, I don't think they have a switch in for Rain Dance Surging Strikes. It wouldn't surprise me if we knock out Lilligant with this hit. I'm going to run that calc. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if Urshifu takes this knockout in Rain with Terra Water. Terra Water in Rain. Lilligant Hisuian form. Do you have a higher defense stat? You do not. That's pretty tempting. But do they have a switch in for these Surging Strikes? I don't believe they do. So I'm just going to go Rain Dance, I think, and no reason to Terra, actually. No reason to Terra at all. That's super wasteful. I'll just knock out the Torkoal this turn, or whatever switches in on it. They're going for that. So I could have gone for the Surging Strikes into the Lilligant, potentially knocked it out. If they are... I guess this is... If they are a rough Rocky Helmet on the Indeedee, fair play. They are Psychic Seed, though. I think they should drop to the Rain Boosted Surging Strike. So it would have been very cute to have gotten the Surging Strike onto the Lilligant and knocked that out, but I think that is very high commitment on a roll that isn't even 100%. We are probably not going to knock out the Indeedee. Ooh, okay, so needed the Terra Water to do that. But regardless, it's in a range where I can knock it out with either of my Pokemon, and if they miss this attack, they do connect, but if they had missed it, they would have been in some big trouble. Regardless, if they want to stop me from getting this attack off, they have to switch this turn, which I could punish pretty hard. I kind of just want to Icy Wind, though. They're probably switching back to Torkoal this turn, I think. Which is annoying for sure. But I don't think game breaking. If they hit, it's pretty bad, though. I think I'm going to burn a turn of sleep on the Urshifu. They're switching out the Indeedee, but again, they are risking the 75% chance on sleep. Looking back, I probably should have just risked the 81% chance to roll to knock out the Lilligant with the Rain Dance Terra Water Surging Strike, but we do end up dodging the Sleep Powder, which is about 50-50. It's about 50-50 to hit 2 Sleep Powders in a row. So we do hit the Icy Wind, which is super nice, and that is going to hit the Lilligant for big damage and enable us to potentially go for a Bleak Wind. Let me check Lilligant's speed stat at -1. In the sun, you're hitting 228. Bucko, we are not outspeeding you. I think I do like Rain Dance. It gives me the chance to wake up on the Urshifu slot. If we do, we just knock out the Lilligant here. And if we don't, I think that's still fine. This will be the first turn the Urshifu has the opportunity to wake up, so the next turn, like they kind of have to switch out Torkoal if they want to really be threatening me too much in the next couple of turns. Since I get Rain Dance up this turn, like Eruption's still going to do a lot of damage and maybe prime me for a close combat KO. But if I wake up at any point with my Urshifu, they're in big trouble. Yep. So we wake up this turn with Urshifu, they almost lose the game on the spot. They do stay asleep, but they can't go for after you Eruption. They have to go for another Sleep Powder. They go close combat, which maybe with Eruption will knock me out, but I am primed for a... Yeah, I think you probably do just have to Sleep Powder again there. They don't knock out, and now we do have the Eruption prime to KO the Lilligant. They kind of have to switch out. I'm going to Surging Strike the Lilligant just because if they protect, I want to have that covered. If they don't, then they get knocked out by Bleak Wind. Unless they Terra the Lilligant, which, again, I would like to have covered with the Surging Strike. But at least they can't be threatening a Sleep Powder this turn, which is really the main scary thing about this Pokemon. Like after you, sure, like after you in a vacuum isn't that scary. It's the Sleep Powder mix-ups, the damage mix-ups that make this Pokemon threatening. When you don't have like a safety goggles Pokemon on the team, it's really volatile to play against. But they do end up switching out the Lilligant, so Armarouge comes out. If that gets Surging Strikes, they're probably never getting Tailwind up. Interesting, okay. So Bleak Wind's going to knock out the Indeedee, which is chill. And if I wake up on the Urshifu, which is about 50-50 chance to happen, yeah, we get the max turn sleep, it looks like, which is what they're hoping for here. But we do get a Bleak Wind, bringing the Armarouge in range of probably a rain-boosted Surging Strikes. Thankfully, they have not put me asleep yet, and I do have that guaranteed hit next turn, so I'm going to probably be leveraging that. So this is the issue with Torkoal Lilligant is you do let opposing Tornadus, especially if they're Taunt, just really dictate the pace of the battle, and that has been the case this time, where even though we don't have Taunt, we had the moves we needed to. Rain Dance. Like, who do I have in the back? If they set up Trick Room, they can't get Psychic Terrain up. Yeah, that's fine. So I think I just Rain Dance. My back Pokemon do not outspeed the Lilligant, actually. I do have to be wary of that. But I think I can just Rain Dance, Surging Strike the Lilligant, and they don't really have any counterplay to that. Because, yeah, Urshifu's guaranteed to wake up this turn, so the Surging Strikes will knock out the Lilligant, and although we do waste the turn by going for a Rain Dance instead of like a Bleak Wind, which would have knocked out the Armarouge, that doesn't really matter because we're knocking out the Lilligant this turn. Yep, guaranteed wake up. And as we... I guess they do have a chance to live because I didn't go for the Terra Water. But they don't. Okay, yeah. My damage estimation was on the money there, but I keep forgetting that I was calculating for the Terra Water one getting the knockout there, and I don't go for that. But regardless, they might be getting Tailwind, like they get Trick Room up, but we will be getting the Rain off the field, and Psychic Terrain is leaving the field, so all in all, I'm pretty happy with how this endgame is developing. Up 4 Mons, they're going to take a double KO here most likely, but that's fine. They definitely played super aggressive that turn, just expecting me to Rain Dance, and I did, but at the same time, it doesn't really matter. I'm going to set up Rain, and then my Terra Fire. Do I need to go for Terra Fire? I don't know. Oh, they cancel. I guess it wasn't over. I think with Rain Dance, it would have been pretty challenging to get through my Orgerpon without a critical hit. Yeah, Terra Water, Terra Blast knocks out the Torkoal. Ivy Cudgel, even in range, should knock out the Armarouge, and we are Mold Breaker, so we do just cut right through ability. So I think that it does spell out why the Armarouge Torkoal teams with the Lilligant Sun mode has kind of died off in this metagame. It is a little bit kind of sketchy against all the manual weather in the format. Okay, opponent has, I believe, Ryota, the 2017 World Championship World Champions team. It has a Indeedee Armarouge mode, but it's more likely than not the Weak Armor Weakness Policy set that can be activated by Primarina Aquajet. My goodness. That's kind of annoying. I might actually set up Trick Room to deal with that. So I think I will lead these two, just set up Trick Room most likely. Feels solid. They could go Ice Spinner, Chien-Pao though, so I have reason to worry about that. I think regardless, I do want to set it up and then set up with the Orgerpon and the Flutter Mane in the back. So usually you want to go for Tailwind modes with this team, usually, but when you are playing against more offensive, more hyper-offensive teams, you can find yourself switching up and using this team as a Trick Room team instead, which is a pretty cool switch up that you do have the ability to do with all the bulky Pokemon on the team. All right, so they did lead with the Primarina plus the Indeedee, or the Primarina plus the Armarouge, which is fair enough. I feel confident I can protect Trick Room without having to worry about them going for the Aqua Jet combo. But I could, and I probably should just go for Follow Me. Expanding Force, actually. Should I just set up Trick Room? Yeah, I think I will just set up Trick Room here. If they Heat Wave, will Heat Wave to it KO me? Probably. I think I'm gonna Trick Room Expanding Force, and if they get the setup off, that's actually good for me because I will have raised their speed. They'd go for the they go for the Protect instead, which means I'm very glad I did not just leave the Iron Crown hanging and wasting a turn. So gonna get a good Expanding Force off into the Primarina. It's gonna be decent damage. I believe it's Assault Vest on this team though, so yeah, that is within range of a 2-hit KO, so very happy about that. And they do not even 2-hit KO both of my Pokemon, so that's very good. I think I'm set up to go for a, honestly, Chien-Pao's a decent switch in for them, so I'm actually going to Dazzling Gleam Expanding Force instead of going for a, they're going to Terra though. So yeah, I went for that because even though Expanding Force is more raw damage into their Armarouge, I don't really want to take the damage. Okay, they're actually going Terra Fire, which is interesting. Expecting to, maybe they're running a speed such that they actually will outspeed my Armarouge. They go for another Hyper Voice, but yeah, in that case, glad that I did at least get the damage off there. We do outspeed their Armarouge and get an Expanding Force off. As far as yeah, because they're faster than my Iron Crown and Trick Room, we are just going to do a ton of damage there, and I think they definitely misplayed there. At least they would have been able to survive a hit, but they could, of course, have also been expecting me to, well, I guess unless I'm Terra Ghost or Terra Dark Terra Blast, that actually doesn't get them any resist that's valuable. I feel like most likely I'm to be Terra Ground or Terra Water, so I don't really understand their Terra there, but maybe they thought they needed to KO the Iron Crown. I don't know. I think their play definitely hinged on them underspeeding me, and that just did not end up being the case. And now we have a pretty safe Dazzling Gleam plus Tachyon Cutter into the who do I have in back? Flutter Ogerpon. As long as I break the sash on this guy, I'm fine, I suppose. Should I get the damage on the Indeedee to guarantee a knockout? Probably, so that's what I'm going to go for. Yeah, they protect the Chien-Pao, so maybe they're reversing Trick Room here. I don't know. I don't think 2 Dazzling Gleams on their side will knock me out, so I'm basically just trying to prime the Indeedee for a KO so that my back Pokemon can knock it out with Ivy Cudgel. I can Ivy Cudgel it later in the game, guarantee that knockout, and then get some chip damage with either of my Pokemon here, and then just the Chien-Pao isn't a great Pokemon at comebacks this late in the game at this big of a Mon disadvantage because the lack of the spread damage means I can easily just go for a Follow Me plus Tachyon Cutter, and if they don't follow me on Indeedee, I knock them out. And if they do, it's 3 against 1 with only single target moves and a Focus Sash, which means just mathematically they can't win if I just keep hitting attacks that actually connect on Chien-Pao. I guess Protect Indeedee. No, I Tachyon the Chien-Pao, I think. And without Terra, they can't survive this hit, and we obviously can break through their Focus Sash with the double target nature of the Tachyon Cutter. Really great move on this Pokemon. Just being able to dispatch one of its greatest counters in one hit is so enormous. and not having it being able to go for Ice Spinner as easily. Yep, this one is an Icicle Crash Chien-Pao though. Makes sense, don't want to turn over your own Psychic terrain, but we will be taking the Tachyon Cutter and bringing in Flutter Mane next. I guess the Indeedee is actually better. They'd have to be Snarl Chien-Pao, which knowing the pace for this team, we know it's, I think, Lash Out or something like that. So I can just go for Follow Me plus a Tachyon Cutter to close the game out. Yep, and we will go for that, and that should be it. Yep. Nothing they could do to win this game except for Snarl, I think. Which they don't go for, and yeah, we just hit the Tachyon Cutter 100% accurate. Definitely very glad they didn't nerf this move with 90%. That would have been so annoying. It is very nice to just have a 100% accurate 100 base power move in the Tachyon Cutter that can just be your reliable damage option when the Expanding Forces, which are definitely reliable, but just a bit scary or a bit reliant on terrain. The Tachyon Cutter is always just going to do crazy good damage. Okay, opponent has a Farigiraf Bloodmoon team, which is definitely very difficult for our team to play against. They can just introduce a lot of 50-50s that are pretty difficult to deal with, but we will see. I'm honestly just tempted to lead the Iron Crown though. They don't have terrain control. We do a ton of damage with our Iron Crown against them, and if they lead Farigiraf, we could potentially go for a Trick Room of our own against them. I do like our Flutter Mane and Orgerpon in the back. Feels strong to me. They could go for Follow Me Trick Room. That's definitely an option on their side. On some level, I'm thinking, like, what if I did just go for a Orgerpon-Indeedee lead? That's pretty tempting. But I am a bit worried about, like, them just going Follow Me Trick Room. Because then I can take a knockout, but I can't really stop the Bloodmoon from coming in and just dealing with me. Like, if I try and reverse Trick Room, they can reverse it on their own side, or just knock me out with Bloodmoon, like Terra Normal, because I'm not a Psychic Seed Indeedee. So I think this or similar was the team that Toler ultimately lost to in Top Cut, so definitely got to be wary. So it is the Urshifu Dark plus the Flutter Mane. I'm not sure if this is Bandit or Focus Sash or not. Definitely affects how I play this a bit. I could go, I mean, I can't protect, obviously, in front of this guy here. I kind of just want to, Booster Energy, Photosynthesis. I guess Quark Drive always activates first. Speed's troubling for sure. I could set up Trick Room. I think they might have a Trick Room mode in the back on their own, though. I think it's probably a bit better to just go for a Follow Me Tachyon Cutter. I think that clears Urshifu, but I'm not certain about it. I don't think Speed does, but I do believe the Tachyon Cutter gets pretty close to it. Let me check, though. Tachyon Cutter. Oh, +2 gets there. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I super don't get this. Well, they protect. We actually do get that. We get it most of the time. So yeah, they go for the Icy Wind, which is fine by me. I could potentially just preserve my Indeedee here, but I think it's smarter to just go after. Yeah, we could have knocked out Flutter, but I think that would have been a bit aggressive when the Urshifu is staring me in the face and very threatening. The Flutter's threatening, but not to the same level, I'd say. Maybe it is. I don't know. Maybe I should have taken that knockout, actually. Okay. I could Terra. That'd be interesting. Yeah, I think that was probably a blunder, and I most likely had to get that right, but hey, it is what it is. We don't. I think I'm going to Tachyon Cutter the Flutter this turn and see what we can do. Definitely playing this super silly. Yeah, I don't know why I did that. Expected them to play that aggressive, but yeah, I just get caught making a stupid play there. Not sure what I was thinking. Tachyon Cutter, free into the Urshifu, Iron, Tachyon, yeah. As long as I don't switch up my targetings, I'm pretty much guaranteed to take a KO on these first 2 turns, but instead, I take 0 and lose my Indeedee and get my speed lowered. So that's pretty chill. Pretty good vibes there. I guess it's not over, but it's pretty close to over. Very close to over. I don't think preserving my Terra is of much value here. I'm just going to go Tachyon Cutter. I do really need to knock out the Flutter, though. I think I'm going to knock out the Flutter here. Just get after it. And Dazzling Gleam. This was very poorly played on my part. Yep, so we are going for a Terra here to try and live the Wicked Blow. I'm not sure about how much that makes sense, but yeah, they go Icy Wind. They do miss the Flutter Mane. We do get bailed by that, but I went for the Terra to avoid a Wicked Blow into the Iron Crown slot, so I think that's ultimately not that important. I mean, I do love the HP still on my Iron Crown, but shouldn't matter too much. We are going to the Tachyon Cutter knock out the Flutter. Yeah, I think we super got bailed there after making some 2. The first turn, I don't think that's a misplay necessarily. I think they might not know the role in Tachyon Cutter. And we do kind of just have the Urshifu slot pinned where they have to knock out the Indeedee eventually. But yeah, I think there was some mistakes made there. Okay, so it is the... Yeah, because -2 speed's an issue. I guess if they take a double knockout here, that's annoying. Can I force them to not, though? They can probably always preserve the Terra, unfortunately. Horn Leech, Bloodmoon most likely knocks me out. I'm going to protect here and go for a Dazzling Gleam. I might protect the Ursa, and I could have gone for an Expanding Force, but yeah. I think this is definitely a very read-based matchup, and I did not get my reads right, and then I made a just purely suboptimal play. They don't go for a Terra, though, which is interesting. I could live an attack from one of these Pokemon here. They follow me while I Dazzling Gleam. That's wild, considering I'm only threatening spread damage this turn. Yeah, so we're threatening a 2 at KO. If I'd gone for Expanding, we do just win, and they do give me a knockout on Flutter Mane. If they're Life Orb, they're priming us for an Expanding Force KO. They do fall. Okay, that's interesting. Interesting development here. So yeah, I feel like they could have just gone for a Wood Hammer, knocked me out. Maybe they were worried. I don't know, dude. Maybe Urshifu in the back is what they're scared of. I guess that makes sense. They're trying to cover for the Urshifu somehow. But now I do just go for a very clean... I guess they're double protecting here no matter what. But if they don't, we do get them. But even if they do, what's that matter? Because they have taken damage on their Orgerpon. They're likely to be faster than ours and 2 at KO us, but I think that's fine. I guess it depends on the speed of the Orgerpon, or the speed of the Bloodmoon. I think we should be outspeeding, well, maybe not, honestly. But they are going for a Terastallization instead of just double protecting away the last turns of Psychic Terrain. I think I'm definitely a bit suspicious of how they played this game. I'm not really a fan. Like, I think Follow Me Expanding Force just knocks them out here. But they could live. I think we're EV'd to live the cudgel, but it might not be in our favor. Yeah, they would hammer. Okay. So aggressive play there. Woodhammer was doing a fourth of the damage. I guess us Ivy Cudgel does a little less than a fourth, but I guess they just never had a knockout. Or we always had a knockout with Expanding Force, but I think they could have just double protected there. Unless they don't have Spiky Shield on Orgerpon, but regardless, pretty happy with that. And we are shown to outspeed the Bloodmoon Ursaluna and knock that out in one hit, which is super good. So although I feel like we misplayed pretty hard, in the early game, we got bailed by a Icy Wind miss, and then they also kind of blundered in the late game, in my opinion, by not Spiky Shielding and stalling out Psychic Terrains, when they definitely had ample opportunity to do so and just like at least be able to go for Ivy Cudgel Hyper Voice and maybe clean me up. Or, yeah, I don't know. It would have been close, but I think they could have at least brought it to a read there instead of wood hammering. Like if you Spiky Shield, at least if you're making read on that last turn, you can't get punished as hard as if you get it wrong in that situation where I still get to get the double target Expanding Force. And my opponent has a Raikou, which is very interesting. A lot of things that could do it. Could go Electro Web. I think it might not actually get that, but Thunderbolt, Snarl, definitely a lot of options it could go for. They also have a Glamora, which does have a new tool in Powered Herb, Meteor Beam, Incineroar, Ogerpon, Amoonguss, and Landorus Incarnate. So gotta watch out here. I think overall they're a little weak outside of the Incineroar to the booster energy guy, just a bit, not insanely. So I kind of like getting the terrain up early. I almost feel like they don't have a... If I can handle the Amoonguss, the Flutter Mane does seem very good here. So what I think I might do is go... A lot I could do here. I feel like Orgerpon's a good bring as well. Could go Tailwind, but I'm not sure how necessary it is. Icy Wind's very strong. Just a bit worried about Raikou, honestly. Let's think about that. I think I'm going to go with this. Lead the Iron Crown plus Tailwind, and then my last slot, I think I will go for... Honestly, the Orgerpon is pretty tempting. Yeah, there's a lot of ways I could approach this. I do feel like I have the offensive tools to overwhelm them, but it's just about how to deal with their few defensive tools. The Incineroar and the Amoonguss is what's really going to determine how this battle goes, because obviously I can Expanding Force their whole team for a ton of damage, but the one thing that can switch in and just take no damage is really stifling in that Incineroar. So they're leading Incineroar, Raikou up against my Torn Iron Crown, fair enough. Booster Energy is cool in that... I kind of just want to switch out and go for an Expanding Force. They could do a lot of damage. That's kind of bad. I don't know if I brought the right Pokemon here, but it's okay. I might be able to live a Thunderbolt, but probably not. I just want to switch out here, and I might be able to just go for basically a Helping Hand Terra Blast the next turn to knock out the Incineroar. But I'm not sure if I want to waste the Terra. If they're not Snarl Raikou, I'll probably just go for a Follow Me Expanding Force. But yeah, I just want to scout out what they go for this turn. They do have Snarl on Raikou, which is pretty annoying, especially because my Flutter Mane, if they're max speed, will not be outspeeding them, which is kind of annoying for sure. But I also could have not taken a... Oh, U-turn's interesting. Okay. So, yeah, that's interesting for sure. I think I'm going to go Follow Me. I think I'm going to go Helping Hand, actually. I probably don't net a knockout, but still a lot of damage. And if they U-turn into my Incineroar or into my Indeedee, that's fine. But yeah, Snarl will be annoying, but I can at least offset that damage with the Helping Hand. And of course, there's no guarantee Snarl connects, but if they protect the Raikou, very good play, but I would imagine it's Assault Vest. That'd be my guess. But could definitely look pretty silly here if they just go for a Protect. They do go Snarl, so that's a good amount of damage, but we will be hitting their Raikou for equally strong damage here. I don't think I brought a good... Like, I don't think I led proactively enough or brought proactive enough Pokemon against the Incin. They do go for knockoff instead of Flare Blitz. That's doing a lot. I'm going to go Follow Me Switch, actually, because I want my Torn in, and I might actually commit to a Flutter Mane endgame here. So the cool thing about Snarl is it will do damage, but because of the Covert Cloak, they won't be getting the drop on me, I believe. Yep, there's that. I do live another hit with the Indeedee, of course, and we should be taking a bit of damage from the Incineroar, of course, but I think I'm happy to take that, because we do get a little Rocky Helmet chip, which is super appreciated. We have wasted a lot of turns of the terrain, though, which could be problematic. I think it might just be time to turn up the Flutter Mane. It's hard to tell. We might just have to hope we outspeed the Raikou, honestly. Perhaps might just have to hope for that. Do I need Tailwind for much? I don't think so. I think I will just go for this. They can't go for Parting Shot, we've seen. If they knock out my Torn, it's really bad, though. I might just make a read and say that they don't. I think they're Assault Vest Incin. Yeah, I'm just going to go Tailwind, though. I don't want to risk it. With that in mind, should I even go for the the Terra? I'm not sure it's necessary to, so I will... I'm going to apply some restraint here and just go for the Dazzling Gleam. I might not knock out the Raikou if I don't go for the Terra. That is the risk with them being potentially Assault Vest, but yeah, no, the Incin was the Assault Vest, so I'm kind of surprised they didn't protect their Raikou at any point. They do go Flare Blitz. I don't think that's a KO just because of all the bulk investment I have. Pretty close, though. That's very impressive from the Incineroar, but I am happy to do all that damage. Oh, they actually... Oh, no, they weren't a defensive item. That's cool. Like a Citrus Berry, something like that. Oh, this Orgerpon coming in is actually pretty strong for me, I'd say. Yeah, I feel like... I mean, the Psychic Terrain wearing off in a turn is kind of annoying, but... not the end of the world. I can probably just go Dazzling Gleam. They have not Terastallized, which is annoying for sure. I think we might live an Ivy Cudgel, though. They don't have priority on their team, so... what I'm thinking of doing is... oh, I do want to preserve the Flutter Mane a fair bit, honestly. I think I'm just going to double attack, though. I think they're likely to protect the Orgerpon, but if they go for the Terra, I think I need to be getting a knockout on the Incineroar. And I think Dazzle might just miss, probably not, but yeah, I'm kind of surprised they didn't go knock off that turn, instead took all the Flare Blitz damage. They are going for the Terra on this Orgerpon, which is of course annoying because I have all special attackers and my main means to knock it out is going down, but we are chipping it slowly. We're going to get a full target Bleakwind Storm. If that connects, I think our chances are not that bad. We are faster than the Orgerpon, and we do a ton of damage. Without the booster energy, I do doubt we're going to be able to knock that out in one hit. Ooh, they do target into the Torn, though. They get a critical hit. I honestly think I am max HP Tornadus. I might have been able to live that. It would have been close, but that's really problematic because of... yeah, that's really annoying, actually. I guess I could have gone for Terra Fairy on the Flutter. What's their last Pokemon, though? Lando. I could have Icy Winded that. That sucks. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, that's really annoying. I guess I could have just locked Dazzling Gleam the whole time, but that's just unfortunate. Yeah, okay. If they lock into Sandshear Storm, I think we do just lose. But I can play towards a misplay here. Yeah, that crit I think I probably could have lived, but it is what it is. We did not. I'm going to go Dazzling Gleam and Expanding Force, I guess, into you, and I hope I knock... I mean, if the Orgerpon outs... yeah, if I don't knock out the Orgerpon here, I do just lose, but I guess I should have gone for the Terra Dazzling Gleam. Because then I would... they'd have to bank on double hitting a Bleakwind or a Sandshear Storm. So I didn't put the odds in my favor this match, but I did kind of get crit to get put in that position, so Did you protect that, though, which is kind of interesting. If I knock out with the Dazzle... Okay, double protect, fair enough. I didn't see the damage, but yeah, I was definitely... I could have been getting more damage on my Dazzling Gleams. I just thought there was a chance maybe I could Terra my... Yeah, I don't really know what I was thinking there, but having a slower Iron Crown here should probably lose us the game, but I think they didn't really have to make that play just now. They maybe were scouting for me being Specs, but Tachyon Cutter is actually stronger, so I will go with that into the Lando because I need the Dazzle to knock out the... Okay, yeah, they, I guess, just think I'm Specs, or that I could go for a... yeah, we'll see. Yeah, they do actually live, so as long as they hit the... Oh, we outspeed their Landorus, which is wild. Did I get Tailwind up? I did, okay. No, that's why. That makes sense, okay. They were just stalling out Tailwind turns. I'm pretty out of it. Yeah, if they miss a Sand Shear onto my Flutter, we could win. But they do just Earth Power, fair enough, okay. I kind of lapsed on having Tailwind up still. I think I set it up. No, I didn't set up Tailwind, right? I didn't set up Tailwind that late, did I? No, I did. Okay, fair. Yeah, that's on me. Yeah, they definitely outspeed me here. So, GG. Yeah. Completely forgot about the Tailwind there. It was close. If I had a little more juice there, I do win that battle on the Orgerpon, but I also messed up pretty severely by not going for the Terra Fairy. Got punished pretty bad there, and I'm overall pretty disappointed in the play there. That wasn't up to snuff at all. A lot of pretty big mistakes, both into team preview, and even though I brought ultimately Pokemon that could have won me the match, I just like fumbled pretty bad on not tearing the Flutter Mane. Because really, Terra Steel is never going to be that important for me, and Terra Water, I'm on such low HP that it's not really going to matter. So big mistakes there, but that is the... when you're using a team with so few turns of offense, that you just really have to hit them all. Basically be optimizing and like not making any little mistakes, because like you did see the Orgerpon just barely lived a hit and I lost the battle off it. So you do have to be like careful of those sort of things. Okay, cool team from my opponent. I would have actually not been surprised to see a Iron Crown on their own team, but the Pokemon of interest is actually the Cleaver and the Whimsicott. So outside of that, the Urshifu, Orgerpon, Flutter Mane, Indeedee, male form, which does have access to Expanding Force, could be choice specs, got to be wary of that. I do feel like this is a decent game to either commit to Trick Room. Oh yeah, this is a great Trick Room game actually, I'd say. Yeah, got to be a bit careful, but I think could be a good game for Trick Room. I kind of want to lead. They lead Orgerpon, that's kind of annoying, but not the end of the world. I think I can set up Rain Dance pretty easily. Icy Wind seems strong as well to an extent, but I do feel like the Urshifu is probably the safest for me. And if I can just protect the... This is definitely a good matchup for this guy. I just have to be able to set it up well. I think I'm going to lead with Torn. I like Flutter a bit, just being able to pressure a lot of things quickly. And then Iron Crown Indeedee. I guess there's an argument for Scarf Urshifu over the Flutter on lead, but I think getting some chip damage is valuable, and then if I can maintain terrain control, I think Iron Crown with Expanding Force clears, especially if I get commanding speed control for like at least 2 turns, then I should be able to close it. So they do lead Cleaver plus the Whimsicott, that's fine. I don't really see myself going like I think Icy Wind, Tailwind feels fine. Like I don't even have to. I think I could. Yeah, Taunt Whims could be annoying actually. Definitely could be annoying. Taunt Whimsicott is kind of scaring me, so I'm going to go Terra, Steel, Icy Wind actually. Plus a Dazzling Gleam. I I don't think that's necessary. I don't think I have to take a hit just yet, so I'm going to switch in my Iron Crown and Icy Wind. As far as I can tell, unless they X-Scissor my Flutter Mane, which is super unlikely, we should be able to survive this turn without taking too much damage. And I don't believe Cleaver is a wide guard user, it's more of a quick guard user. So, again, I don't see a knockout so easily on my Torn this turn, and they'd have to make a pretty aggressive read. They could taunt me, which is why I went for Icy Wind, could have gone for Bleak Wind for a little bit more, like more gain, but I didn't think it was necessary. They do go for Tailwind of their own, though, which is fair enough. If they aren't taunt, you can just go for an... Oh my god, that does so much damage. Is that Choice Band or Life Orb? That is Life Orb, fair enough. We do double hit the Icy Wind. We're going to see if they're Covert Cloak Whimsicott. They are not. Okay, that's really good. I think I can kind of safely go for Tailwind, Tachyon Cutter into that slot, though. There's not a whole lot they can do about it. Unless they taunt me. Which I could switch in Indeedee to stop that, but doesn't seem necessary. Could I not just switch this turn into Indeedee, though? Probably I could. Probably do that next turn too, though. I'm going to go Tachyon Cutter into this guy. Terra Water would be bad. Okay, Icy Wind, that's fine. Yeah, we actually do outspeed the Cleaver, which potentially will let our oh yeah, we don't outspeed them, unfortunately. They go for an X-Scissor, and it does not knock out, but yeah, it would have been good to get that Tailwind up. So, mistake not switching into my Indeedee the previous turn, and now we lost a lot of HP on our Tachyon boy, especially when we could have gone for a Psychic Terrain Expanding Force. If that was how the turn was going to shake out anyways, I just thought I was a little worried about I don't know, maybe a Moonblast or something sketchy into my other Mon getting me there. But it is the Urshifu Dark here. Okay. Actually, pretty good candidate for a Terra Fairy. I can't Terra Fairy, actually. Oh boy. Okay. Lack of the option to Terra Fairy. Super sketch. Super sketch indeed. I'm going to bring in the Indeedee and the Torn slot because I don't love just having to Icy Wind. I guess it's fine. But I would like to be able to switch up my moves. Do I get into good shape if I feel like I want the Indeedee in, actually. I'm going to Icy Wind. I don't want the Indeedee in yet. I'm going to go Tachyon Cutter, Icy Wind here. They Wicked Blow into the Cobalion, Iron Crown. And we should be landing Icy Wind for a knockout on the Whimsicott and lowering the Urshifu's speed. Unfortunately, they probably have the tail energy ball. Okay, cool. Let me check. Urshifu. Yeah, if it's Adamant 252, it'll be down to about 100 speed, and I am 180 speed Flutter, so that's not going to be enough to win. They have not used their Terastallization notably, so I do have to be wary of that. I think this is probably the turn to bring in the Indeedee. This is where I'm punished pretty badly for using my Terra so wastefully. But yeah, they ended up being the Terra Dark Urshifu instead of the Terra Water one, which complicates this battle a fair bit, I'd say. They do get the pointed stones off, fair enough. I think if I can get the Icy Wind off, I'm not sure how many turns of Encore I have left. Let me verify that. One more turn. I think I should be able to live an Ivy Cudgel from the... I'm not max bold, so I might not. Yikes, yeah. If they had already expended their Terra, I'd probably win. Oh, they don't go for their Terra. That's interesting. Right, they didn't Terra. So if I live the Ivy Cudgel, which I think I should if they don't crit me, yeah, then I redirect this, I get an Icy Wind off, and then I will outspeed their Urshifu. I would anyways in Trick Room, but now I can go for a Bleak Wind to basically get the knockout on the Urshifu and Shadow Ball into the Orgerpon, I believe. Yeah, cool. So Bleak Wind should be a KO into the Urshifu if I connect, of course. we end the Encore, and then Tailwind ends. So didn't end up losing the Torn before we could go for another Tailwind, but I think we're in a situation where we don't even go for it. I believe Bleak Wind. Do I even have to go? Psychic Terrain is not going to end anytime soon, thankfully, so I do just Bleak Wind this turn. I'm almost sure of it. And I want to say it's Shadow Ball. If I hit 1 with Bleak Wind this turn, I should win. Dazzling Gleam. If I Dazzling Gleam and they Ivy Cudgel my Torn, I just lose. If I go for Icy Wind this turn. So I think, yeah, this is just a Shadow Ball. Bleak Wind. I believe we have a knockout on their Urshifu unless they are a bulkier one. But yeah, they're not terroring that, so as long as we hit our Bleak Wind and yeah, if we hit Bleak Wind on one Pokemon here, I think we win. It's going to be close though. We Shadow Ball, obviously moving first. That should get close to a knockout, or at least in range. Oh, we just crit. Okay. That simplifies things. We now only need to hit the Urshifu. I think before we just needed to hit 1 because a Shadow Ball from Choice Specs Flutter Mane, I think actually even would have knocked out their Urshifu from that range, but getting the crit means we do not have to hit both. So we are able to clean that up. I think definitely was a little sketchy, but the Terra Steel on the Tornadus let us survive against the Cleaver. They were definitely relying on that, taking that knockout, but I definitely went super behind when they Encored me into Icy Wind instead of me getting a Tailwind up. I was worried more about Taunt, but Encore definitely makes a lot of sense, and yeah. I think that is the difficulty with playing against Prankster Pokemon, especially in Tailwind Mirrors, is it's so easy to just get taunted, or to focus on Taunt as like the main uncertain element that really denies you from getting your speed control while allowing them to get theirs. But sometimes you can easily play into that and your opponent can punish that, which they did in that circumstance, but thankfully we were only locked into Icy Wind instead of another move, which was still providing speed control, at least passively, throughout the battle. Okay, opponent here has the Teal Mask Orgerpon, Chi-Yu, Urshifu, Iron Valiant, Metagross, and Latias. So very interesting team. Very, very interesting. I think pretty offensive outside of the Metagross, so I like setting up Tailwind. I want to say Iron Valiant learns Wide Guard, so I do have to be a bit careful about that. I think Orgerpon pairs up very well against them. But honestly, a pretty safe lead is just the Flutter Mane into everything but the Metagross, but that is so weak to the Metagross that I don't love it. I could also go Flutter Mane. Like Flutter Mane Orgerpon has its merits as well. I think I'm going to go Orgerpon Tailwind mode to lead in the back. I think I do need the Urshifu to be able to handle... I think I'm going to go the Urshifu and the Flutter Mane. I want to be able to beat the Chi-Yu, which the Orgerpon can beat with 2 Ivy Cudgels, but that's kind of inconsistent when they can hit me with a Dark Pulse and knock me out as well. So I think the goal here is they have a pretty offensive team themselves, so if I can just go for a Tailwind faster and keep the offense on them, then we should be fine. So it is Urshifu Single Strike versus my Torn Orgerpon, which is fine. I feel like I could easily go Tailwind. No reason to switch, right? I could just go Fire Ivy Cudgel right away. Are they Trick Room? Maybe. That'd be annoying. God, it just feels so easy to get a... I feel like I'm EV to live. Potentially. Like this combo. Not this combo, but like Choice Scarf, Surging Strike. So maybe what I want to go for here is a... I think I'm just going to play it safe. I'm going to go Tailwind, Terrifier, Horn Leech. They're switching out. They could be going Trick Room plus Chi-Yu. Interesting. Chi-Yu's their switch in. Yeah, if they do that, that'd be a great play. Like Trick Room on the Iron Valiant would definitely be surprising, but kind of I kind of doubt it. And I don't think they have a knockout on my Orgerpon unless they're going for a like Terra Ground or a Terra Rock, Terra Blast, and given I outsped them with my Terastallization animation going before any potential one they do, I doubt it. So we're getting the Tailwind up at least, but you know, that could actually serve against us if they go Trick Room here. We're getting the Horn Leech off, which is a strong 2-hit KO into the Chi-Yu. That's super nice, but they did go for Trick Room. Okay. So we got baited. It is what it is, but we will roll with it. They can probably Dark Pulse me and take a knockout, honestly, which is annoying. I wish I had Scary Face to self-Scary Face myself, but not the case, of course. I think I'm going to go Bleak Wind. Spiky Shield is tempting. If I can knock out the Chi with the Bleak Wind, that'd be really nice, but I doubt it. But I think having Follow Me is pretty valuable here if I can execute that. They might also go for a Dark Pulse. They protect the Chi-Yu, so maybe trying to chip down my Orgerpon, which I'm totally okay with. So trading Spiky Shields there. They might be attacking the Torn, but no, just Dazzling Gleam. Fair enough, which kind of indicates they don't have a ton of damage into my Orgerpon. We'll see if this 2-hit KOs my Torn. It does not, which is very valuable. If we can hit this Bleak Wind, that's a ton of damage, which we do. And that is super effective damage, bringing them down to Focus Sash. Very happy about that. Unfortunately, no Aqua Jet on this guy. Stalling out this Trick Room is really, really tricky still. Do I want to switch out? I don't think so. I don't love taking like a Snarl combination or something like that. Yeah, they're going to deal probably enough damage to beat me with the back Pokemon, unfortunately. I don't think I get a lot of value out of switching. How fast is my Orgerpon? Maybe I should just try and stall out Trick Room, truthfully. I don't know. I feel like I can live whatever they're going to throw at me. So I'm going to go Horn Leech and Bleak Wind here. They're going for a Terra. Interesting. I wonder if they're like Terra Fire. Terra on the... Yeah, they must think this knockout's very close. Or they just am really prioritizing knocking out the... the Orgerpon with the combination of Dazzle plus Dark Pulse. I think they might have the damage. They crit the Torn, but with the Dazzling Gleam. The boost on the Dazzling Gleam from the Terra Fairy, that shouldn't have mattered. They do go Dark Pulse. We have a lot of investment. We do survive, and we do not flinch. So that HP is pretty valuable. Not the most important thing, but we should be able to live a Dazzling Gleam from this Pokemon now, and they probably won't expect my Orgerpon to outspeed them in Trick Room, but it probably will. Yeah, I can't really go into their Urshifu just yet. I could Protect, honestly. That'd be an interesting play, and I think I might go for that. Yeah, interesting spot. One more turn of Trick Room, one more turn of Tailwind. The issue is if I switch out... I guess I don't have to switch. I think I can maybe just go... Who do they have in the back? Probably Metagross. No, I feel like they would have brought out Metagross earlier. Potentially. I'm gonna guess Orgerpon. I kind of just want a Moonblast. I do... I'm going Follow Me Dazzling Gleam because I realized at the last second, unless they have Wide Guard and they're slower on, and they can knock me out with this Dazzling Gleam, which I don't think they should, then I do have a Dazzling Gleam into their Urshifu. So the idea was, like, if I switch into my Urshifu, I'm going to fall to the Dazzling Gleam, even though I get my Orgerpon in Trick Room and I could Horn Leech them the next turn for a knockout. I don't know if that's worth it. So I'm going for a Dazzling Gleam here. They didn't Wide Guard, and we do just knock out the Urshifu in one hit. So now, although they will have one turn of Trick Room, I might be able to close it out with my back Pokemon, but it's going to be very close. It's going to be pretty dependent on like Urshifu or the Metagross. I think would probably beat me with Psychic Fangs into my Urshifu. They have a boosting item, or it just knocks out anyways. But yeah, we'll see how this goes. Going to be very close, I'd expect. Latias. Okay, so we do come out of this maybe with a win. They have used their Terra. Dazzling Gleam's definitely a knockout. Well, at least it's pretty close to one. And we have we're pretty well equipped as far as Urshifus go. We have a base 80 Ice Spinner, so I'm not going to be taking a ton of damage from them. I think yeah, they do cancel out, so they do get me with the Trick Room Bluff, but I think with the bulk on our usually offensive Pokemon, they were kind of relying on just like getting some KOs that are probably a bit narrow and dependent on me just running max speed, very little bulk, but because of the Orgerpon being able to survive against the Chi-Yu, and a couple of Dazzling Gleams being able to follow me and redirect for the Flutter Mane, I think we were able to come away on top of that. It's hard to analyze those sort of games just because that's the point of that team, right? Is to bait you with the Trick Room and then just get like a pretty quick, snappy win because you brought the wrong Pokemon to play against Trick Room. But in that case, we just, like, in a way, our team is kind of built like that too, where we can just like snap from Trick Room to Tailwind just based on the bulk for Pokemon. So it didn't quite work out for them, but I don't really think it's like by merit of my game plan or anything. There was a few like snappy plays where they could have caught me with Wide Guard for sure on that Dazzling Gleam turn, but yeah, I think overall hard to take a lot away from that game outside of just, yeah, try and adapt when you do get surprised by that and not overcommit too much with the Tailwind like that in that situation when I potentially could have just like survived the hit and like doubled into the Iron Valiant to prevent that from happening in the first place. Like survive the Surging Strike from the first turn. So that's going to do it for battles featuring Toler Webb, 2012 World Champion, 2015 National Champion, and top 8 Charlotte regional finisher. So yeah, it was a really cool team. Definitely an excellent team building effort from all involved. And I do think it has a lot of strengths in the metagame. As people kind of adapt to it, I definitely saw that the Terradark Amoonguss and the Snarl Electroweb Raging Bolt, which Sohaib Mufti was using on the stream, was really giving Toler a lot of trouble. I do expect things like that to become more prevalent as people are aware, okay, the Iron Crown stuff is way less gimmicky and way more stable than the previous Expanding Force Pokemon in previous formats. So I do think we're going to see some adjustments, but this was a very excellent call for the tournament. Well done to Toler, Justin, the rest of the team building group, Yotem, on building such a strong team. But yeah, if you enjoyed the battles, please subscribe to the channel. And with all that being said, peace, y'all.